Good afternoon, what is a warm, bright and sunny day. It is Tuesday, the 5th of September. I've got a nice hot cup of tea. And a box to continue unboxing. And what I have got in here is this, which is Bigby Presents, Glory of the Giants. This as a time of recording the latest supplement for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. So, there we go. There's the back. So there's nothing to read there. This is the special edition. Very nice cover. Quite a slim book actually. It's 192 pages. And it's interesting to note that this is a guide to the Giants of Dungeons and Dragons, and the Giants have always had an interesting role. They've always been there. They've always designers have always gone back to them because they've been sort of like an iconic monster in Dungeons and Dragons. You really think back to G1, Steading of the Hill Giant Chief, G2, Ice Caves of the Frost Giant Jarl, and then G3, Halls of the Fire Giant King, and I'm approximating those titles off the back of from memory, and they've been revisiting sort of like several times. So you're looking at they've been reprinted as Liberation from Jeff, the G1 to 3, of course, collected in the early days because of course they lead into the big campaign involving the Drow and ultimately Lolth. So you go G1, G2, G3, D1, D2, where you're dealing with the Drow, and then Q1, Demon Webs of Lolth. And so revisited more recently, and then Tales of the Yawning Portal did them again. And there's a Storm Giants Castle, I think, for the 4th edition as well. So if you can track the Giants across as a campaign threat across the course of Dungeons and Dragons history. So, Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants. Now, I have already done reviews of those early G modules, and I'm keen to move on to the next one. I have time. This, of course, will be something that I will reach in due course when I don't know. So, basically, presumably you've got a picture of the alternate cover. And we're sort of essentially with Diane Castra's saga dealing with the Giants, explaining what they are, who they are, how a figure in myths, fairy tales, folklore, and fantasy literature. And this is basically the saga of the demigod Diane Castra, is an epic poem treasured by skalds and storytellers amongst all kinds of giants. So it's literally the tales are coming from the giants themselves, and the giants, of course, you kind of figure lots of cultures and mythologies of giants in them, but you're really kind of thinking of the Norse mythology with the fire giants and the frost giants. So we have the heirs of Anam, the giant kind. So we're dealing with Fomorians, death giants, trolls and ogres, cyclops, etins. Discussion of them there. And then we even have discussion of giant magic, which and giants of many worlds. So not just talking about Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, Dragonlance, Eberron, and so on. We have the 20 runes of power from the heart of giant magic. That's not something you necessarily think about as giants having. Generally sort of like, oh, well, you just give them magic, from the book. But let's make the giants more interesting in terms of their magic. So, essentially, we have options for characters here. So, barbarians, subclass options, path of the giant. And then backgrounds like giant foundling and giant foundling personality traits, rune carver, and then big heroes and big stories. So Heroes of the Giants. Birthplace, hometowns, talking about sequestered caverns and uncovers and feats associated with the giants. And then how to bring giants in place. So here's the options for when you're playing giants, how to role play giants. This is really, twisting kind of options you normally play, because normally you wouldn't play a giant. So it's really opens up the options, and it'd be interesting to sort of have a campaign where you are playing giants or you have a giant amongst your midst. So you have things like dealing with the giants in the ordning. The giants, many worlds, organise themselves into complex social ranks called the ordning, and this is dealing with sort of like the roles they have in them. So like cloud giant wealth, fire giant skills, frost giant might, stone giant artistry. And then the other option is to reject the ordning completely and go off on your own. We have a discussion of gods and the religions of the giants and their priests and faiths. So each of the different gods here is discussed along with the priests and faiths. And then how to involve gods and adventurers in scenarios. And look at the social structures of the giants. So bands, families, steadings, exiles and recluses, settlements, and then organisations like the Hidden Rune. And these are all accompanied by a list of options and interesting additions and adventure ideas. So we've got the Stewards of the Eternal Throne, World Route Circle, and then Giant Adventures. So possible encounters and a guide to using the table. So giant kind encounters, additional attitudes. And these are all broken down by giant types. So starting with the cloud giants, moving on to death giants, fire giants, Fomorians, frost giants, hill giants, all different types of encounters you can have with the giant kind. And then we have things like fiendish incursion encounters, essentially for example, table encounters for situations where giants have turned from the gods of ordning to serve fiends. And then into particular, this is interesting, essentially we have a section on adventures. Giants serve as adversaries in many D&D adventures, but that's not the only possible roles for them. This section outlines 5 broad categories of adventures, including suggested adventure hooks for each category. So, against the giants. 3 of D&D's earliest published adventures feature giants as the primary opponents: Steading the Hill Giant Chief, Glacial Rift of the Frost Giant Charl, and Hall of the Fire Giant King. So that combined with a table of against the giant style adventure hooks. And then we have Clash of the Titans, delve deep into the past. Giant-sized schemes are alternative ideas into the giant realms. Things like different assignments, so boss assignments, financier assignments. So much more to giant kind than you at first thought. In general, they're thought of as a big threat, but within that, there's a lot more options. So campaigns, how to influence a world that has giants in it. And then we have giant enclaves. So Anam's Cradle, ancient empire Giants, nice map, nice hex map there. Radically different. I actually really like this. For starters, this echoes a much earlier style of presenting maps. You know, gets away from that style that we've. I mean, it's a nice style you typically see in Dungeons and Dragons books, in a sort of like, you know, mapping of the Forgotten Realms. But here, this is gives a nice clean clarity. I think with just the one colours, and so similarly with the location there, which is Ashen Grotto. Now let's go through different locations. Endless Rock Slide. Forest Crystal. Forsaken Keep. Gale's Eye Tower. Grolator's Larder. So you've got these one-page locations that you can easily drop into a game. Hayatia's Hearth. Horizon's Edge. Howling Iceberg. Karontor's Hold. Let's just check. Let's just see who has done the cartography. Let's have a look. It's Dyson Logos. I thought it was, and you can really tell his style, and that's really kind of different from your standard Dungeons and Dragons style book. And it's really nice to have his art in a book like this. It's a real step up for him. And of course he's done a fantastic job. His maps are excellent, you know. And the great thing about his maps is that he produces maps regularly that are free to use with acknowledgement. You know, as long as you acknowledge that he's the creator, they're fantastic. Then we move on to Giant Treasures. So things like fire giant bags, hill giant bags. So these are the bags. These are, you know, the bags. You kind of classic sense of, well, the giant's got a bag. What's in the bag? So you know, relics of the giant realms, like different kinds of treasures, coins, gemstones, art objects. Magical items such as the Adze of Anam, or you know, which have runes on them, which can be invoked for special powers. Even a firearm like the Thunderbuss, or a bestiary. So I was talking about bags. The first thing inside here is a bag jelly. You know, basically, that's going to keep your bag clean. And got different monsters and creatures we might encounter in a giant campaign. And characters, so Kernerites, Cinder Hulks, Cloud Giant, Destiny Gambler, Cloud Giant of Evil Air. Dinosaurs, because you can have a big land of big kind of lost world land full of giants and dinosaurs, of course. And the great thing about the dinosaurs is that they're on a similar scale to giants. They are giant creatures. Echo of Demogorg, Etin Ceramorph. Lots of interesting and new and inventive creatures. Furbolgs. Fire Giant Force Caller. And these are threats to your player characters, whether or not they're giants or otherwise. Fomorian Warlock of the Dark, Frost Giant, Ice Shaper. These are really nicely done, sort of like interesting adversaries. Lightning Honk, and then a more of Yinogog. I'm pretty much sure I pronounced that wrong, but Rhyme Hulks and Runic Colossus. And then Scions of the Giants Gods. So quite an extensive bestiary there. Threats to your standard player characters and giants alike. And then we've got a list of the creatures at the back, followed by concept art. That's a nice addition, just a little extra. And tables of adventure hooks. So that is Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants, a supplement for presenting giants in your Dungeons and Dragons campaign as both player characters, NPCs, enemies, and more, and tell stories involving them. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings of the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box containing a book or game which I'll unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.